Hello, everyone. I hope you're all doing great today. Let's talk about something that every one of us has experienced at least once in life: visiting a doctor's clinic. You know, it's one of those things we don't always look forward to, but somehow it teaches us patience, kindness, and how to take care of ourselves better. Today, I want to share a complete story, not just a simple visit, but everything that happens before, during, and after the visit to a doctor's clinic. From the moment I woke up feeling sick, to calling the clinic, waiting for my turn, meeting the doctor, explaining my symptoms, and finally getting the treatment plan. It's a full journey, a real-life experience that might remind you of your own visits too. Before I start, let me ask you two small questions. When was the last time you visited a doctor, and how was your experience? Do you prefer visiting a family doctor or going straight to a hospital when you feel unwell? Tell me your answers in the comments section below. I'd really love to read your stories too. All right, let's begin my day. So, it was a cold Monday morning in New York City. The weather outside was gray and chilly, and I woke up with a heavy head, sore throat, and a mild fever. I tried to ignore it at first, thinking maybe it's just because of the weather or lack of sleep. But as the hours passed, I started feeling weaker, my voice was hoarse, and every swallow felt painful. I made myself a cup of warm tea, hoping it would make me feel better, but honestly, it didn't help much. I sat on the couch, holding the cup, staring at the steam rising from it and thinking, maybe I should visit the doctor today. Now, like most people, I don't enjoy going to the clinic. The waiting, the smell of disinfectant, the sound of coughing people in the waiting area. It's not exactly a happy place. But I also knew that ignoring my health wouldn't help either. So I picked up my phone and searched for nearby clinics. Luckily, there's a small but very clean and friendly clinic just a few blocks away from my apartment, Maple Care Family Clinic. I had been there once before for a regular checkup. The doctor, Dr. Emily Johnson, was kind and always took her time to listen carefully. I called the clinic. "Good morning, Maple Care Family Clinic. How can I help you?" The receptionist said in a calm, polite tone. "Hi, this is Alex Parker. I'm not feeling well today. Sore throat, mild fever, and fatigue. I was wondering if I could book an appointment with Dr. Johnson," I replied, sounding a little tired. "Sure, Alex," she said. "Dr. Johnson has an available slot at 11:30 a.m. Does that work for you?" "Yes, that's perfect. Thank you so much," I said, feeling a little relieved. "All right, please bring your ID and insurance card and come about 10 minutes earlier for the check-in," she added. I thanked her and hung up. It was around 10:30 a.m. I quickly took a shower, wore a light hoodie, jeans, and a jacket. I didn't feel too well, but I wanted to look at least a bit presentable. When I stepped outside, the wind was cold but refreshing. I took a slow walk toward the clinic. It was only a 10-minute walk through East 74th Street, near a quiet residential area with coffee shops and bakeries. The smell of freshly baked croissants from a nearby cafe almost tempted me to stop, but my sore throat reminded me that eating was not going to be enjoyable today. Finally, I reached the clinic. The glass doors opened with a soft chime, and I was greeted by the same friendly receptionist, Amanda, sitting behind the front desk. "Good morning, Alex. You have an appointment with Dr. Johnson, right?" she said with a warm smile. "Yes, that's right," I replied. She handed me a small clipboard. "Please fill out this form, just some updates about your symptoms, medications, and insurance details." The waiting area was bright and cozy. Light green walls, soft music playing in the background, a few patients sitting quietly with their phones or magazines, and a small aquarium with colorful fish. The environment itself made me feel calmer. I filled out the form and handed it back to Amanda. She said, "Perfect, Dr. Johnson will call you in soon." "Please have a seat." I sat down, looking around. An elderly man was sitting across from me, coughing softly into his handkerchief. A mother was trying to keep her little daughter entertained with a coloring book. I could hear faint sounds of medical instruments from behind the examination rooms. After about 10 minutes, a nurse called out, "Alex Parker?" I stood up. "That's me." She smiled and said, "Hi, Alex, please follow me." I followed her through the hallway into an examination room. It was clean and organized. A small examination bed, a sink, a computer, and medical equipment neatly arranged on the counter. "Please take a seat," she said. She said, "I'll just check your vitals before the doctor comes in." She checked my temperature, blood pressure, and oxygen level. "Your temperature is 100.2 degrees Fahrenheit, just a mild fever," she said kindly. "Dr. Johnson will be here shortly." After a few minutes, the door opened and Dr. Emily Johnson walked in, wearing a white coat and a cheerful smile. "Good morning, Alex. How are you feeling today?" "Well, not so great," I said, trying to smile. "Sore throat, mild fever, and some fatigue." She nodded. "All right, let's take a closer look." She asked me to open my mouth, checked my throat using a small flashlight, listened to my breathing with her stethoscope, and gently pressed on my neck to check for swollen lymph nodes. Looks like you've got a throat infection," she said. "Nothing too serious. Probably viral, but we'll do a quick strep test to be sure." She took a throat swab and said the results would be ready in about 10 minutes. While waiting, she asked me a few questions. "How long have you been feeling this way? Are you taking any medications? Did you recently have contact with anyone who was sick?" I answered everything. I told her I'd been feeling unwell since yesterday, hadn't taken any medication except for tea and rest, and didn't recall being around anyone sick. Soon, the test result came back. It was negative for strep throat. "Good news," Dr. Johnson said with a smile. "It's just a viral infection. I'll prescribe some medication to ease your symptoms. Ibuprofen for the fever and pain, and a throat spray to soothe the irritation. You should rest, drink plenty of fluids, and avoid cold or spicy food." "All right, thank you so much," I said, feeling relieved. She added, "If your symptoms don't improve within 5 days, or if you feel worse, come back and we'll recheck everything." I nodded. She handed me the prescription and wished me a speedy recovery. When I stepped out, Amanda smiled again. "Feel better soon, Alex." "Thank you, Amanda," I said as I left the clinic. Outside, the air felt fresh again. Maybe it was the relief of knowing what was wrong, or maybe just the comfort of being cared for by kind people. I stopped by the pharmacy next door, got my medicine, and walked back home slowly. At home, I made myself a bowl of soup, took my medicine, and wrapped myself in a blanket. The day might have started rough, but visiting the doctor made everything easier. It reminded me how important it is to take care of yourself, not ignore your body, and trust professionals when something feels off. Because sometimes, a small visit to a clinic can make a big difference. Taking care of your health should always be a priority. Don't wait too long when you're unwell. It's better to be sure than sorry. Visiting a doctor is not just about medicine. It's also about peace of mind. Now tell me in the comments below, what's your experience like when visiting a doctor's clinic? Do you feel nervous before meeting the doctor or comfortable explaining your symptoms? I'd love to read your thoughts. And if you found this story helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more real-life English stories and learning experiences. After coming home from the clinic, I realized how peaceful it felt to just sit quietly and rest for a while. You know, sometimes our body tells us to slow down, but we don't listen. We keep pushing ourselves, thinking we'll be fine. That morning, before I went to the clinic, I was trying to convince myself to keep working, answering emails, and pushing through the tiredness. But after meeting Dr. Johnson, I understood one thing very clearly. Rest is also a part of recovery. I made myself a bowl of warm chicken soup, the kind my mom always used to make when I was sick. Just the smell of it brought a little comfort. I sat near the window, watching people walk on the street below, bundled up in coats and scarves. New York winters can be cold, but that day it looked peaceful. Snowflakes slowly falling, kids playing with snowballs, and the sound of cars honking in the distance. After eating, I took my medicine, turned on a soft instrumental playlist, and decided to take a nap. The moment I lay down, I felt my body thanking me, as if saying, "Finally, you're listening to me." I slept for almost 3 hours. When I woke up, I felt a little better. My throat still hurt, but the headache was gone. I made myself some herbal tea with honey and lemon, something Dr. Johnson had also recommended. While sipping my tea, I started thinking about my visit to the clinic earlier. It's amazing how important small details are, like the receptionist's kind smile, the nurse's gentle voice, and how the doctor took time to explain everything clearly. Those little things make the whole experience less stressful. Many people, especially those who move to big cities, feel nervous visiting clinics alone. I used to be like that too, unsure what to say, afraid I might not explain my symptoms correctly. But over time, I've learned that doctors are not there to judge you. They're there to help you. And it's perfectly okay to ask questions, even simple ones. That night, I slept early. The next morning, when I woke up, my fever was gone. My throat was still sore, but I could speak more comfortably. I decided to work from home that day. My job allows remote work, so I didn't have to worry about commuting. I made myself some oatmeal and started my laptop. While working, I received a message from Amanda, the receptionist from MapleCare Clinic. "Hi, Alex. This is Amanda from MapleCare. Just checking if you're feeling better today. Dr. Johnson wanted to make sure you're recovering well." That message made me smile. You don't often see clinics following up like that. I replied, "Thank you, Amanda. I'm feeling much better today. Please thank Dr. Johnson for me." It's those small acts of care that make all the difference. Over the next few days, I continued following Dr. Johnson's advice. Warm fluids, proper rest, and no cold food. Slowly, my voice came back to normal and my energy returned. By the 5th day, I was almost back to full health. But Dr. Johnson had told me to come for a follow-up if I wanted to make sure everything was fine. So, on Friday morning, I decided to visit the clinic again. When I reached the clinic, it was less crowded this time. Amanda recognized me immediately. "Hey, Alex, you're back for your follow-up?" "Yeah," I smiled. "Feeling better, just want to make sure everything's okay." She nodded and handed me a short check-in form. Within minutes, a nurse called me inside. Dr. Johnson entered with her usual cheerful smile. "Well, Alex, good to see you again. You're looking much better. I feel better too, doctor," I said. "Almost back to normal." She checked my throat again and listened to my breathing. "Everything looks perfect now," she said. "You did a good job taking care of yourself." I laughed. I guess I finally learned to listen to my body. She smiled and said something that stayed with me. "Alex, your body is your first home. If you don't take care of it, nothing else will feel right. Not work, not relationships, not even happiness. Health is not something you fix when it breaks. It's something you protect every single day." Those words hit me deep. She was right. We often wait until something goes wrong before we pay attention to our health. Before leaving, I thanked her sincerely. "Dr. Johnson, you're not just a good doctor, you're a great listener." That alone made the healing faster. She smiled modestly. "That's kind of you to say." Stay healthy, Alex, and remember, one good night's sleep and a calm mind are often the best medicines. I walked out of the clinic feeling lighter, not just physically but emotionally too. The air outside felt fresher, and I noticed things I hadn't noticed before, like the laughter of 2 kids near the coffee shop or the smell of cinnamon from a nearby bakery. When you're sick, the world feels blurry. When you heal, you see everything more clearly. That evening, I met my friend Michael for a walk in Central Park. He said, "Hey man, you sound better. Finally got your voice back." I laughed. "Yeah, thanks to my doctor and some good soup." We walked under the fading sunlight, the orange glow of autumn leaves around us. I told him about the entire experience, how the clinic staff were kind, how Dr. Johnson patiently explained everything, and how I learned to slow down and take care of myself. Michael nodded thoughtfully and said, "You know, we take our health for granted until something goes wrong." I agreed. Exactly. From now on, I'm going to schedule regular checkups instead of waiting until I feel sick. When I came home that night, I felt grateful. I realized how lucky I was to have access to good health care, to live in a place where people care, and to have learned an important lesson about self-care. The next day, I decided to make a small change in my lifestyle. I started waking up early, going for a short jog around the neighborhood, and drinking more water. I replaced junk food with fruits and yogurt. It wasn't easy at first, but it made me feel better every day. And sometimes I still pass by Maple Care Clinic while walking, and every time I smile. That place isn't just a clinic anymore. It's a reminder of kindness, healing, and the value of listening to your body. Closing words for the video. So, my friends, if you ever feel unwell, don't ignore it. Don't push yourself too hard thinking it's just a small thing. Go see your doctor. Sometimes a simple consultation can prevent a big problem later. And remember, doctors are not just there to treat illness. They're there to remind us to take care of the most important thing we have, our health. Now, before you go, I want to ask you two simple questions again. What do you usually do when you start feeling sick? Do you rest at home or go to the doctor right away? Have you ever met a doctor who made you feel truly cared for? Share your answers in the comments below. I'd love to read your experiences and learn from your stories. And if you like this video, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel for more real-life English stories and learning experiences. Stay healthy, stay kind, and take care of yourself. Always.